Ciao! In my opinion, an inclusive culture allows to see diversity as an added value and not as an obstacle. In this way, each of us can contribute to add value to the company.
An inclusive culture allows people to be heard in what's most important to them.
Companies with an inclusive culture will maximize their success because they can benefit from all the knowledge and skills of all their employees.
An inclusive culture makes you feel part of a community and allows creativity to flow freely in the workplace.
An inclusive culture is important because it fosters wellness and positivity at workplace. It allows for people to be their own authentic selves at work.
A truly inclusive culture allows not only the business to thrive, but us as individuals, as we learn from a vast array of different experiences and different perspectives.
Diversity is beautiful, and combining different experiences, opinions, and backgrounds, we're going to have a better understanding of our customer needs around the world.
Knowing my contribution and experience is valued, along with everyone else at Westcon Comstore, makes me feel included and part of the team.
I feel included at Westcon when attending team events and completing surveys where your own personal input is required.
What makes me feel included in Westcon is the possibility to work in a multicultural workplace with people coming from all over the world, respecting and admiring each other.
I feel included at Westcon Comstore because I'm able to tackle a male-dominated industry and leave my mark.
I get to share my amazing Māori culture with the team here in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
The support from my team leader and my colleagues, which are from all over the world, no matter what, of course, always make me feel included.
I have the opportunity to collaborate with different teams across all areas of our business, and that makes me feel included.
I feel included because I am appreciated for who I am and what I can contribute at Westcon Comstore, which give me a strong sense of belonging.
At Westcon, I feel included because they care about my opinion, and for sure, they care about yours. So speak out!
Hi everyone, and welcome to today's One Westcon check-in call. I'm Paul Cunningham, Chief Marketing Officer, and as an executive sponsor for the One Westcon program, it's my real pleasure to be hosting and introducing today's event. We've got a lot to cover, so let's just run quickly through today's agenda. We're going to be joined in a moment by David Grant, who will be telling us why this inclusive culture is important, not just from a strategic business perspective, but from his personal viewpoint as well. Donna Bain will then outline some of the elements of the One Westcon Inclusion Programme before we take a drill down into one of the key components, which are the new employee resource groups that we're establishing. And Howard Hines and Andrew Grant will be elaborating for us on the constitution of those groups and how they're going to run. We'll then be joined by my colleague, Runa McLeod, VP of Marketing, who will talk about the way in which we're taking the One Westcon programme out into the communities that we live and work in, with a very specific example we're planning for next year in the UK. Claire Horton will then join us to deliver on the outcomes of the recent Global Diversity Survey, and we'll conclude with a view from Robin, from HR Director for Middle East and Africa, looking at a regional perspective on diversity, inclusion, and some of the programs they've been running. And as well as being a great insight into what we mean by this idea of diversity, I'm hoping that we'll share that information with you and inspire you to think about how you can apply this thinking to your own regions as well. We'll conclude with a live Q&A, and we'd encourage you to submit your questions to any of the presenters in the Q&A panel, which is the comment box to the right-hand side of your screen in Venue. But let's move on with the agenda. It's my great pleasure to introduce David Grant, CEO, who's going to talk to us about why he believes this inclusive culture is so important to the business. David.
Thank you, Paul, and I'm really pleased to be with everyone today. So there were, I think, a number of questions that were put to me, and really one of them was, why is having an inclusive culture so important? Well, I think in our business or in a leadership role, it's always important to recognise what you can really influence and what's within your sphere of control. And for me, inclusion really allows us to focus on our employees. Of course, we hear an awful lot about diversity, but invariably that seems to be, for many companies, right at the front end of the recruitment process. We recruit around about less than 200 people a year, but yet we've got over 3,100 employees, all of whom can make a fabulous contribution to the business. So from my perspective, I think that inclusive approach really allows people to feel that they've got a sense of belonging, and it really encourages people to contribute to the business in whatever way they can. And that definitely helps us improve our engagement with our employees. It allows us to retain our talent, and also to really develop our people from within the organisation, which is really important. And of course, as you progress that thinking through, it means that everyone's got an equal opportunity based on merit and the contribution they make. And over time, the fact that we allow all of our employees to be in that environment that they can contribute, have their voices heard and participate, means that there is absolutely no doubt that we will start to be seen as a really attractive place to work. And that in itself will, I believe, start to lead to an even broader and even more diverse recruitment talent pool. And that will definitely help us improve our employer brand equity. What does really inclusive mean to me personally? Well, I think it is about this sense of belonging. I think we all like to be part of an organisation, part of a team, part of an environment that is successful. But over and above that, people need to feel welcomed, they need to feel safe, and they need to feel motivated and encouraged. And to me, I think that inclusive approach is very much about being part of a team that really allows us to be who we are. I think we could all remember back in our earliest days on occasions when maybe we felt excluded, whether that was at school or from a group of friends. And that feeling of being excluded is definitely not a place that we want any of our people to be. So an inclusive approach is really, really important to people feeling safe, welcomed and encouraged. I think the next question, of course, is, well, what more can we do to improve inclusion in the business? Well, I think that certainly as we start to see people return from many months of working remotely, now is a really great time for all of our managers and, of course, all of us as colleagues to spend that little bit more time just talking and listening to people's experiences. We've actually got a number of people who are now working in our organisation who have never really been working with their team in the office. So we actually don't know what they can contribute. We don't know enough about their background. We don't know enough about who they are, what they think, or how they can help shape and improve everything that we do. So I think that firstly, that more time taken to really connect with all of our employees. And I think about that myself when I spend time in offices moving forward. I'm going to make sure that I carve out more time just to spend time talking to the teams locally, rather than what I've tended to do, which is go in for a series of meetings, maybe meet customers and vendors, but really not spending enough time just spending to talk to employees and understand their experience of working in the organisation. And I think the other element, of course, is as we really start to embrace hybrid working, I think that will allow us to encourage and get more contribution from people who otherwise may not have felt they had a long-term future in the business. And I think that this final question, it was Andrew Grant that challenged me on this. Why now, David? Is it just because it's and I wouldn't say it's fashionable, but it's very in vogue. I think there were two very high-profile topics at the moment: diversity, inclusion, and equity, and sustainability. But actually, the real reason is because actually, as people return to an office environment after nearly 2 years, in many cases, of working remotely, their feelings of isolation and not feeling included is likely to be more evident now than at probably any other time. So as we start to encourage people when it's safe and comfortable for them to do so, and as part of the hybrid working plan, encouraging people to come back into the office, and they start to get that face-to-face time, I can't think of a better opportunity to make people feel really welcome, feel really safe and included in everything that we do in the business. So absolutely, the time is right now as we start to change the way in which we operate and getting back to a new working environment, or the new normal, as people like to call it, and really welcoming people into the business and making sure that they can contribute. And there's no doubt that it will have a significantly positive impact, not just on the culture and the environment, but on the business performance as well. So I believe that inclusion should absolutely be the anchor tenant of our people strategy moving forward. And I hope that over the next little while on this session, and of course as we go into the future, people will start to see that within the organisation and more of it as we continue to move forward. Donna, I'd like to hand over to you now. And of course, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. As David said, my name's Donna Bain, and you know, I'm super excited and very, very proud to be an executive sponsor for One Westcon. And if you'd like to hear what I think about inclusion, then please take the time to listen to a podcast that was recently recorded when you see the link. People are at the heart of our business and are really our biggest asset. It's important that our employees feel included. You know, David said it very well, and that their voices are heard, or our voices are heard. Today, we'd like to talk about a new initiative. So I'm going to hand over to Howard and Andrew, who will provide an insight into our new employee resource groups.
So thank you, Donna, and thank you, David and Paul, for being, part of this key initiative within the business. Our employee resource groups, they exist to provide support and create a sense of belonging that may not exist elsewhere in the organisation. Being part of an employee resource group, or ERG, if you like, provides an opportunity for individuals to share their experiences within the organisation, if they choose and deem it appropriate, and provide feedback, recommendations, and support on how to dismantle barriers that may have hindered their development, progression, and retention in the organisation. So Andrew, what views do you have on employee resource groups so far?
Andrew, sorry to interrupt you. We've lost your audio. Andrew, please remove your headsets.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Please proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm not quite sure what happened there. So yeah, sorry. As I was saying, so employee networks or employee resource groups. Some people may know them as employee representative groups. So these representative groups are represent different specific groups from diverse communities. And they can help offer what is an inclusive environment in which everyone within an organization feels like they belong. So ERGs can also provide a safe channel through which Black and ethnic minority groups, LGBTQIA, disability, gender equality communities, so all of our employees are able to express their voice, share their experiences with a sense that these experiences will not only be understood, they'll be heard, they'll be listened to, and also they'll be responded to without judgment or condescension, and with a genuine concern and care by those who are more likely to have experienced similar issues and challenges themselves. And that's how it is both within and outside the workplace.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Those are really great thoughts. And I think I must reiterate that these groups are for everyone, and they can play a key part in driving the success of the organisation by supporting existing talent, attracting talent, and that may otherwise have been overlooked. So, Andrew, tell us, what would you like to see from ERG, and how do you see this program evolving within the organisation?
So, I suppose whilst many organisations set up multicultural networks and ERGs to value and celebrate the diversity of backgrounds and the richness that various cultures bring, it's also important to recognise that the uniqueness of each of these cultures and the representative groups in their own right. So if I take, for example, the BAME network, there are common features within both, but the experiences of being Black is distinctly different from that experience of being Asian. So, or any other ethnic minority, to put it into that perspective. So it may be important to separate out some of the groups. The evolution and success of the program is definitely employee participation. So that is key for us. So from all of our colleagues and employees from at Westcon, we do need you to be involved. And all of our colleagues together can make the success happen. So nonetheless, I think we should start with looking at our sponsors and our allies that will help us drive the success of the program going forward. So Howard, do you want to tell us about our sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. So I think you're absolutely right. You know, the sponsors and the senior allies are going to be selected from the organisation. They're going to be a critical part of the success of this initiative. They're people who are influential, they're credible leaders who are committed to diversity and inclusion and willing to learn and support the ERG and the organisation along its journey. We're going to be providing training and support, and a number of volunteers have already been selected. So I guess let's see who they are and hear what they've got to say.
Tēnā tātou katoa. I'm Laura Leslie, the HR Manager based in Aotearoa, New Zealand, also part of the One Westcon program team. Sorry I can't be with you live today, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity to introduce to you our APAC Senior Advocates. These advocates are all committed and passionate about supporting and driving the dialogue around diversity, inclusion and empowerment.
Hi everyone, my name is Blake Shaler. I'm the Sales Operations Director for Australia and I'm based in Sydney. I'm really excited to be involved in the Westcon One Advocates Group because outside of sales ops, one of my biggest passions is the people and the culture of our business. So this is going to allow me to be more heavily involved in this area that I really enjoy working in. Thanks everyone.
Hi everyone, my name is Intan from Indonesia. I'm so excited to be part of this program because I believe this program is one of our fundamental innovation to improve our team performance. Thank you and stay safe.
Hi, my name is Belinda Bolchin. I'm based in Perth, Western Australia. Originally was in Melbourne. The reason that I am so excited about this initiative is because I believe strongly and passionately in our people at Westcon Comstore. And I feel that if people feel empowered, inspired, and feel that they are being listened to, then we can achieve a lot together and really succeed as an overall company globally.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim Ngọc from Westcon Vietnam. I'm happy to be a part of the Westcon program. I think this project is very meaningful because we can connect on employees and get them more ideas, especially if we are in the COVID-19 situation in our past is very complicated. Thank you.
Hey there, my name is Dave Corcoran. I'm the CFO for APAC and I live in Sydney, Australia. I'm very excited to be a senior advocate for the One Westcon program. I believe everybody should have a voice and everyone should be provided with an equal opportunity when they work for Westcon Comstore. I look forward to working with you soon. Take care.
Hello, magandang araw sa inyong lahat. My name is Judy and I'm from Manila, Philippines. I'm really excited to be part of the One Westcon program because I believe in its message about diversity and inclusion. And a big plus for me is getting to know all you lovely people. Talk soon!
Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Cho. I'm located in Westcon, Taiwan. I'm glad to have this opportunity to join this program. I hope to see you in Taiwan. Bye!
Hi there, my name is Malaysia and I'm in Auckland, New Zealand. I'm really excited to be part of this initiative. I love Westcon Comstore's values and culture, and I feel really strongly about being able to help empower people to have a voice and contribute to this organisation. So look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, bye.
Hello everybody, I'm Catherine, based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm really excited to be part of this One Westcon program. The topic of diversity, inclusion and empowerment is one that is so dear to me and I'm so passionate about it. I'm looking forward to interacting with our employees to discuss their experiences and challenges in this area. Thank you.
Hi team, I'm Anthony. I live in South London in the UK. I'm really excited about being part of One Westcon. A really big thing about this initiative is about listening and hearing from you more frequently. More importantly, how do you become more inclusive within our organisation? I'm really looking forward to working with all of you over the next coming weeks, coming months, and hearing from you. Please take care, happy selling and happy closing.
Hi, I'm Miranda, based at the Cirencester office in the UK. I fully support inclusion and equal opportunities for everybody, which is why I'm pleased to be part of this initiative to help promote diversity, inclusion and empowerment.
Hi, I'm Runa. I'm based in Brighton in the UK and I'm really pleased to be part of this One Westcon initiative. I'm looking forward to working with different people across the business and I think now more than ever it's so important for us to find new ways to come together and make Westcon Comstore an even greater place to work.
Hi everyone, I am Sébastien Aslan, based in Paris, France. I'm happy to be part of this One Westcon program because diversity, inclusion and empowerment is something I feel very passionate about in our business. When I was asked to join the program, I said yes, why not? Really happy to do this. I'm excited to be part of the program and hope to work soon with all of you on it. Have a good year and speak to you soon. Ciao, ciao.
Hi, my name is Natalie Spooner. I am based in the UK. I'm really looking forward to being part of One Westcon because I love the fact that we work for a company that promotes diversity, inclusion and empowerment throughout the year and not just for 1 month of the year.
My name is Marianne. I'm based in Cologne, Germany. I'm excited to be part of the One Westcon program. Diversity, equity and inclusion lies at the core of who I am. My commitment to these values is unwavering. And I know that having varied perspectives helps generate better ideas to solve the problems of a changing and increasingly diverse world.
Hi, I'm Russell from Hampshire in England and delighted to be part of the One Westcon programme. I'm really happy that we can be talking about the subjects of diversity, inclusion and empowerment, and I really genuinely believe our business can be better for it and indeed hopefully help individuals thrive within our business too. Looking forward to working with you.
My name is Louise Antilles and I am from Tarrytown, New York. I want to thank Westcon for making diversity, inclusion, and empowerment a top priority in the workplace. I am very excited to serve as a senior advocate because it is my lifelong goal to uplift and support employees in order for them to thrive in the workplace. This is a great opportunity to have your voice be heard and to help reimagine the future at Westcon because we are all more alike than we are different.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Howard and Andrew. My name's Runa McLeod, and I'm really pleased to be here this afternoon and have the chance to talk to you about a new diversity initiative we're working on in the UK, which is looking beyond our immediate workplace and out into the community, specifically at attracting ethnic minority groups to our industry. So in the UK, we've partnered with a charity called Migrant Leaders. Migrant leaders do some fantastic work working with first and second generation young migrants aged between 16 and 25, and find ways to provide them with support and opportunities in business which can really help accelerate their career potential and help them meet their true potential within their chosen career. The young people that migrant leaders work with are extremely bright and capable, but often through their circumstances and personal experiences, miss out on the support that many of us will have experienced and perhaps taken for granted, but that has been critical in helping us establish our own careers. And so migrant leaders finds ways to equip these young adults with the skills, knowledge and confidence to enter and ultimately take on leadership roles within British enterprises. And one of the important ways that they do this is by partnering with businesses like Westcon in the UK and working together to create and develop educational support initiatives, which give support to these young adults through things like workshops and internships. And so next year, we're going to hold our very first internship with migrant leaders at our Bracknell office in the UK. It'll be a 3-day event where we invite 6 young interns to join us. And over the course of the event, they'll learn about the world that we work in. So our technologies and the channel, our vendors and our partners, and of course, a deep dive into our business. They'll have the opportunity to meet different people from our business who can talk about their career paths and personal journeys. And we'll also be providing practical career development advice and some exciting hands-on technology workshops. The idea and the goal for us here is to give some inspiration and help excite these interns and hopefully interest them in a potential career within the technology industry. And we'd like this to become a regular event at Westcon, and indeed something that we'd be able to deliver in other countries. But in the meantime, if you are based in the UK and you feel like you'd like to get involved in the event, then please do get in touch. There are many ways that you can help support us. Perhaps you have an interesting career story that you want to share, or you'd like to take part in running one of the workshops. Or we're looking for people to help buddy up and really welcome and make the interns feel included and comfortable during their time with us at Westcon. Or maybe you just want to find out a little bit more about Migrant Leaders as a charity. If you're interested, get in touch today and I'll be really happy to share some more information with you. And I look forward to coming back and telling you about the event once we've run it next year. So thanks for today, and I will now hand over to Claire, who is going to take us through the results of our diversity survey. Over to you, Claire.
Thanks, Runa. It's really good to hear about the work we're doing with migrant leaders, and I'm really looking forward to being involved with that in the UK. So Robin and I are going to talk a little about the survey and some of the inclusion initiatives that have been running over the last year. When we launched the diversity survey last year, our intention had been to have 2 parts. The first part sought to understand how included our employees feel in the company, and the second part was intended to collect data about our employees so that we could start to benchmark exactly how representative we are as a company. You might have noticed that we didn't issue the second part of the survey, and this was for a few key reasons. Firstly, the response rate to the first survey was relatively low, so although we got some great feedback, we felt that it wasn't really fully representative data. Secondly, we intended to ask for some personal data that we hadn't asked for before. We felt we needed a bit more time to allow employees to become more familiar with the One Westcon programme and what it means before we start asking for that sort of information. And finally, there were some data protection restrictions that we're working through to just make sure that we're being compliant while still achieving our ultimate aim of being completely and fully inclusive. So for those reasons, we won't be issuing that second part of the global survey on individual characteristics, but we do remain absolutely committed to improving our data and the inclusivity of our systems to support our aims through the One Westcon programme. You can find the results of last year's survey on the Global Employee Network, and next we will be issuing those same questions as we asked in the first survey, so that we can check our progress over the last year. And bearing in mind what I've just said, we would really like to achieve a minimum participation of 60% this time, so that we can really see some representative views about how we're doing on the subject of diversity and inclusion. So Robin, if you could join me, I wonder if you could talk a little about the diversity of the regions that you support and why it's so important to understand how our employees feel that we're doing here.
Hi, Claire. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I really support your sentiments around using the survey to find out how teams view Westcon when it comes to diversity, empowerment, and inclusion. I'll take this opportunity to just encourage all staff to participate so that we can achieve our goal of over 60% response rate. On our screens now, we see the Middle East and Africa HR team. As a people-serving organization, we truly believe that understanding our people, respecting diverse backgrounds, and embracing them for their unique beauty is essential. We are people from very different backgrounds from a race, age, ethnicity, and culture perspective. Our hometowns are Kenya, South Africa, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, India, Dubai, and Egypt. Embracing the varied diversity that exists within our internal teams also means cultivating distinct, diverse views that inspire creativity and drive innovation within the organization. Middle East, South Africa, and the rest of our African population is one of the most complex and diverse in the world. Yet our distinctions and cultural roots are what unite us. Our greatest strength is in our diversity. I'd like to talk a little bit about our CSR initiatives as well. In alignment with our group HR strategy, our CSR activities encourage participation and inclusion across all groups within the organization. Here are some pictures or views in terms of initiatives that were ran in UAE, where people of Westcon came together to support their communities. We also see some work being done in South Africa during the KwaZulu-Natal riots, where food hampers were provided. Irrespective of our backgrounds, we see a strong culture of inclusion and participation during events such as these. Our learnership and graduate programs, I really loved what Runa was talking about, which speaks to exactly what we're going to share now. It's very encouraging to see our learnership and internship programs actually mushroom across the group. Most of the Gen Z and millennial groups participate in these programs, resulting in increased creativity, innovation, which speaks to our Westcon Comstore values. Through these programs, we also see an increase in our appointment of women into more technical and BDM positions. Women empowerment is on all of our lips. When it comes to women empowerment, the women of Westcon believe in themselves and have the self-determination to shatter the glass ceiling, collaborate across the spectrum, work with mentors and coaches, and transition into becoming the strong leaders and businesswomen of the future. Thank you, Claire.
Thanks so much, Robin. It's really good to hear about those initiatives, and just really does demonstrate what a diverse environment that we're operating in, and why the One Westcon programme is so important to us. So I'd really encourage everyone to participate in the next survey. We really appreciate that feedback, and it informs our decisions on where we need to prioritise our next initiatives. So please look out for a link from your local HR and on the Global Employee Network. Thanks, Robin, and I'll hand over to you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Robin, and thanks to all of our speakers today. Before we get into our Q&A session, and thanks for all of the questions that have been lodged with us in the chat box, we've had a few already. I just want to talk a bit about how you can get involved in the One Westcon programme. The first thing to do is you can register your interest in joining one of these employee resource groups. You'll be receiving a form by email, or you'll locate it in the One Westcon channel in the Global Employee Network on Microsoft Teams. There, you can join in the conversation. There is plenty going on, and you can learn about other initiatives and ideas that are floating around in One Westcon by participation in that Teams channel. You can also catch up on the blog on My Central, our central portal for applications, news, information around the company. A new blog was just published in the last day or so, talking about our initiatives in this area. And finally, as Donna mentioned earlier, we just completed a podcast recording between myself and Donna, which explains more about the One Westcon programme and how you can get involved. So please do take all or one of those opportunities to get involved in the programme. We really value your participation. Let's move now, though, to our Q&A. So if I can invite all of our participants to rejoin me in venue, we'll run through some of the questions that we've had in from our viewers today. Hi, everybody. So let's start back at the beginning of the agenda and talk about the employee resource groups. The first question we've had, which perhaps Howard, you could address, is apart from ethnicity or heritage, what other employee resource groups will be in existence?
Well, I think if we refer to what Andrew said, I think we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to be part of a resource group. So whether it be LGBTQIA, whoever you are, whatever characteristics you are, we want to get you involved. Typically these networks are targeted at specific ethnicity, but it is an employee-wide initiative. So do join us and do share your comments.
Okay, thank you. We already covered the way in which we can get involved in the resource groups. So let's move on to think about the other content we saw today. Runa, we've had a question about migrant leaders as a program. Do we anticipate seeing similar programs rolling out in other countries? I guess that's going to be a local consideration, but perhaps you could talk about migrant leaders in the UK, but also how we might see it reflected in other parts of the world as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. So I think, as sort of Robin shared, there are a number of CSR initiatives that exist in other countries, and certainly there are, as you said, it's a local sort of decision whether to do this. Certainly, the intention is for us to share the event and speak to other countries that are interested in running a similar event, and for that to be something that could be replicated and delivered in other countries. Migrant leaders themselves only operate in the UK, but I'm sure that there are similar charities that work in other countries, and we can collaborate on that.
And there's a related question to that, which I think, Robin, we could take you as an example of that with what you were saying just now about mentorships, internships, development opportunities, working with the communities. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing in region and how that reflects into those programs?
Yeah, absolutely. The programs that are running, we really have to encourage coaches within the business, because not only do they go and have 3 months training from a theoretical perspective, they end up coming back into the organization and spend 9 months to gain work experience. In that 9 months, coaching for performance is critical, because we want to see them succeed. We want to see them deployed into our partner base. We've been successful in a lot of our programs, and for the first year in 2020, we saw almost 100% absorption into Westcon of that learnership program that we ran last year. So the coaching element is really critical, and they also do need mentorship, because you see they're young and they're Gen Z and they're excited and innovative. So we've also got to coach and guide into getting them to fully appreciate and perform to the best of their ability.
Well, I think the point here is that these mentorships, internships, development programs are largely going to be governed by what's important locally to our organization and to the communities we work with. It's very difficult to determine a single standard way of doing these things. So we look forward to hearing from the countries and the regions about how they believe they can develop these programs in their own particular locations. Claire, just coming to the diversity survey for a moment, we had a question about why we think the initial response rate was so low. Have you got any views on that?
I think the One Westcon programme was still relatively new when we sent out the first survey, so perhaps we needed to build up a level of familiarity and trust, perhaps, that we are listening and that we are committed to building a truly inclusive culture. So hopefully over the last year, with some of the initiatives and the things that we've been talking about today, we're demonstrating that commitment, and people will feel more comfortable with completing the survey this time around.
Yeah, so the conversation's underway.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. The next question is one I'd like to bring to you, David, if that's okay, because you touched on this in your remarks at the beginning of the call today, which was this notion of how can we make colleagues who work remote feel more included? because even with this, potential return to something like normality, there will still be people who, for various reasons, are working remotely. Do you have any thoughts on what we can do collectively and individually as leaders and colleagues to help people feel more included?
So I think that over the course of the last 2 years, we've seen, on a number of occasions, on all hands calls, senior leadership team reviews, we've called out the fact that, 2 employees who you would have seen sitting side by side doing the same job, when they move to working remotely, you've got no idea of the domestic environment they go back to. It could be, 2 people competing for, small space. It could be one person who's working in isolation. So I think we just need to constantly remind ourselves of how we would like to be kept in touch with the business. I think that we are seeing, of course, in parts of Europe at the moment, a bit of a regression in terms of, just as we thought we were able to start seeing people coming back to the office, I think we're seeing a little bit of a retrograde situation with COVID. And I think that's almost, the more cycles we go through, the harder it is for people to go back and work remotely, because they just feel that it's half a step forward, one step back. So to answer the question directly, Paul, I think we should continue to remind our managers and our colleagues to not just IM people or Teams them, but actually use mobile phones, actually contact them, talk to them, try and mix up how you communicate with people. We don't want to spend every minute of every day on a Teams call. So try the WhatsApp call, try just to include them. I think the other element, though, I have to say, is that the way to really make sure we're in contact with people and knowing how they feel is we've got to recreate or maintain this office environment and team working. And I realise that is going to be dependent on the local circumstances, but there is no substitute for that face-to-face engagement with our friends, our colleagues, your line manager. So I would just urge everybody to, as soon as they feel comfortable and safe to do so, to try and get back into that office environment, and then keeping in touch with people is so much easier.
Yeah, and I know that you're getting back into the habits of visiting some of these places, David. So they might get lucky and get to see you there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully I'm spending some time in the next couple of days in South Africa. So again, depending on the restrictions and how people feel, I'll be in the office tomorrow in Johannesburg.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we're out of time for today's call. We do have a few more questions that we could run through, but time's against us. As with all of these calls, we will collate those questions and provide some responses to them. Some of them are quite specific and detailed around some of the programs. So I think issuing a brief bulletin after the call will be the best way to handle those. But thank you for your questions, everybody. We really do appreciate it. And thank you for participating and viewing today's call. And finally, of course, thanks to David and all of our speakers for offering such great insight into the program. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Look out for more information on the program itself. And as I said, there will be a follow-up bulletin explaining our answers to some of those questions you've sent to us today on the chat.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks all. Have a great day. And we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye.